Howdy, how's your mam and them? Sorry, just pulling up. Let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing started. Shout out to the people coming through already. Shout out to Pugilism in the chat already. Class act Bivol. Earn that, and we'll have a cleaner victory if they go a third fight. Interesting. Interesting. There's a dirty rumor going on out there, by the way, that I switched up late. And after years of saying I would never pick against Bivol again after the Canelo fight, that I would never pick against Bivol because he's the most versatile fighter in the sport, and he, especially in a rematch, he's capable of making any adjustment possible and winning the fight. There's a dirty rumor going on out there that on X I switched up last minute and picked Beterbiev. Dirty rumor. Dirty rumor. Do not believe it. Do not believe it. And if somebody tries to show you a screenshot, I guarantee you it's fake. It's fake news. Didn't happen. I did not pick against my boy Bivol. Didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't switch up late. Promise you. Promise you. That's just a dirty rumor going on around there. Just try to avoid those rumors, the fake news out there. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's been a little while. How's everything? How's everything with y'all? This is the first one I've done during the day in about what, 5 months? Did one at night last week. So only the first real video I've done in about 5 months. So welcome back. Hope everybody's been doing good. Hope everybody's been having a great 2025 so far. And what a card we had. What a card we had on Saturday night. And then you bounce back with it and woke up at 5:30. Still have to catch up with the rest of the Japanese card. Saw highlights, some of the other fights. Have to catch up with the whole card later. But boy, did the Saudis and the Japanese know how to throw a party. Boy, do they know how to throw a party. Boy, do they know how to put on a fight card. 2 great fight cards. One Saturday during the day here, and then one early Tuesday a.m. with some great pound-for-pound fighters on it, some great fights, some great matchups. Boy, do they know how to do it. Updated pound-for-pound list dropping today, by the way. So make sure to look out for that on X, and I will allude to it during the show. Who's moved around, who's gone down, who's gone up, some moving parts there. And we'll talk about a lot of things. Beterbiev, Bivol, of course. Shout out to Brundog 16, Iceman. Salute to you. The card exceeded expectations, which was hard to do. How'd y'all feel about Shakur? How'd y'all feel about the Shakur fight? So good news is he stayed busy, and it is what it is, right? He didn't put us to sleep. He got his opponent out of there, and his opponent got paid well, handsomely. By the way, some sentiment out there that some of these guys should not be taking this money late. I saw some of this. I saw some of this from the American content creators that these guys should not be taking late money from Turkey al-Sheikh because that's slave money. You should not be taking that this late. You should not be a slave to this guy out in Saudi Arabia. You should not be taking this money late. You should not be doing it. You should not be laying down for this guy and taking a house, career-changing money, life-changing money that's going to set your children up for life. You should not be doing it. You should not be doing it. You should not be taking a late notice fight plus a guarantee of another fight in the future if you come to fight. Should not do it because then you're acting like a slave. You're behaving like a slave, and it's just not the right thing to do. Forget the bad culture. Bad culture out. In is what's best for boxing. What's best for boxing now, the sustainability of boxing. So, yeah, it wasn't boring. So Shakur, not much to say there. Let's get that one out the way. I felt like that should have been the opening bout. And he did what he had to do, stayed busy, and hopefully something bigger in his next fight. Hopefully the lightweight division wakes up a little bit and these top guys fight each other. Callum Smith, Boazzi, what a fight. Probably, as far as action, the best fight on the card. And I will say this. I would like for Callum and Benavidez to fight next if they do the trilogy between Beterbiev and Bivol. What a fight that would be. Callum has power, still some stuff left in the tank. Got a hell of a chin, it looks like. And let's see what Benavidez can do with him. And I think Benavidez will win the fight, but what an action-packed fight it would be. And it would keep Benavidez busy at 175 against top 10 guys, right? If he can't get that fight in the next fight and they end up doing a trilogy next in the order of operations. And by the way, want to say once again, I would like to see Canelo versus Benavidez next, because I know people are going to do that thing. I already hear it. Kelly just wants to see Benavidez lose. When I call for Bivol and Beterbiev to fight each other, what happens? We don't hear, oh, Calix just wants to see Bivol lose. Calix just wants to see Beterbiev lose. When I call for any fighter to step up in competition, it's only a certain few fighters that you guys say, oh, Calix just wants to see him lose. Calling for fights, is that me wanting to see a fighter lose? No, I just want to see the fights. I'd like to see Tank versus Shakur or Keyshawn, and Calix just wants to see Tank lose. No, I just want to see the dude fight. I just want to see Benavidez fight. That's it. And if calling for him to fight Callum Smith is too much for you, then maybe, just maybe, your guy's not as great as you think he is. I don't know. But either way, man, however they do that, I'm fine with it, because if they do Bivol Benavidez next, what a fight that would be stylistically, right? And look, a lot of people felt this. Fight of the night, shout out Chauncey Pearls, Boazzi Smith. A lot of people felt that way. Overall, pound for pound, talent level, I still felt Bivol Beterbiev. Whew, what a fight that was. I still liked Vergil versus Madrimov, although it lacked action for most of the fight due to the negative nature of Madrimov. I found out a lot about Vergil in that fight. We found out a lot about Vergil in that fight, fellas. Look, man, Vergil's the real deal. And Vergil's coming along now. What was the issue in the past is issues with this team, right? Struggling at 147 to make weight, then struggling at 154 to make weight, fighting at catch weights. Now the guy's making weight consistently. Now obstacles, that's the beautiful thing about the Saudis, is obstacles disappear, right? So now a guy who would be avoided getting things going, right? Those obstacles seem to go out of the way when it comes to the Saudis. Fights magically happen. And he's not going to be avoided. He's making 154. He looks healthy making it, right? And to me, he's a top 154 pounder after this fight. And you got a hot division at the top, right? But with Bud, I don't think he's a 154 pound fighter, right? He's going up to 168, fought once at 154. And I think he's got one foot out the door. I think he retires after the Canelo fight. That's just my opinion. So I'm getting ahead of it and just kind of moving Bud out of those rankings. And when I watched Vergil fight, Madrimov was very negative, more negative in this fight than he was in the Bud fight. And look, man, I know triangle theory doesn't work, and I'm not saying because of that Vergil beats Bud. In a perfect world for me, Vergil and Bud fight next. In a perfect world, the card would look like Canelo Benavidez at the top, Bud versus Vergil at 154. I would rather do that than this Canelo versus Bud fight. I think those are great fights. And that's what I like to see, especially after this. I thought Vergil looked great. I thought Madrimov came in with the game plan that's effective for him, and that I'm going to stink up the fight. And he had to get very negative in the middle rounds. He had to get very negative because he felt that pressure, right? And that's the beauty of Vergil. His offense becomes his defense. And he speeds you up. He's like a full court pressing basketball team. They speed you up and force you to play their type of game. And they force you into turnovers. And that's what was happening with Madrimov from the 9th to the 12th round, is he continues to turn the ball over because Vergil continues to apply that pressure. So then that's when you see Madrimov make those mistakes. that Vergil's catching him with, right? Going to the body, landing those counters upstairs with the right hand. And it's what we said about Vergil. Vergil's undervalued in some of the things he does as a technician. And you can see that in that he's not getting caught coming in. He's getting caught when he's inside in those trades. But those are the trades he wants. He wants you to trade with him because he's going to get the better of the trades. Madrimov tries to decrease the output, decrease the amount of punches in these trades. That was his game. And you see him leading with his head, right? And the referee should have taken a point because Madrimov continued to lead with his head, continued to try to chop the fight up and headbutt and try to change the fight with some dirty tactics, if we're being honest. But he's getting away with it, so it's fair game. But he's chopping the fight up, and it's not working with Vergil because Vergil is not allowing himself to get chopped up. He's not allowing Madrimov to steal the rounds. He's not allowing Madrimov to steal the fight. Vergil's the better fighter overall. If we're going by the Marcus of Queensberry rules and a referee is in there saying no tactical clinching, no headbutting, we're going to deduct points and get ahead of this, then it's a Vergil fight all day. He's the better fighter. Madrimov is an athlete. He's a technician. Vergil's the better fighter. And it showed. And this was a hell of a performance because, fellas, no matter what we say about the triangle theory, it works in that it gives us a measuring stick. Of course, it doesn't work. We can't say because of this, Vergil beats Bud. We don't do that. We don't jump to that conclusion. But these are measuring stick fights. It's why it works when a fighter is chasing another fighter. If Benavidez wants the Canelo fight, he chases and goes after Caleb Plant and tries to beat him better than Canelo beat him. That's the type of stuff that happens, right? So in this case, we would say Vergil probably beat Madrimov better than Bud. We don't jump to the conclusion that therefore he beats Bud. We don't do that, but it's a measuring stick fight to where we say, maybe some of you were a little too down on Vergil after his last fight. Maybe, just maybe, he's getting his feet wet at 154. He's finally getting healthy. He's finally getting active. And maybe, just maybe, Buhacic's a better fighter than Madrimov. Possibly. Possibly. And when I said that last year, that I would pick Buhacic to beat Madrimov, I was called crazy and a Bud hater, which is weird because I've been Bud's biggest fan for a decade. And I fully expect to be called a Bud hater after they see my pound for pound list later on today. I fully expect that to continue. What I will also say is after this fight, and shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way, Nando, there's a lot of stuff to get to, fellas, today. So keep those chats coming. I'm gonna be looking at it, but got to get the stuff quick. And by the way, blown away by the numbers coming in. 45 people over on X, trying to build the YouTube back up after 5 months layoff. 23 people in there, so appreciate y'all for coming through, and everybody's gonna be watching the archive. Nando Yamas, the hardworking man, $4.99 super chat. He's out there. He's out there stone cold capping though. He's capping because yes, he is a hardworking man, but I guarantee you, Nando's on that construction site. But he's in the air conditioning. He's that dude in the air conditioned trailer, just looking out at the other dudes with the hard hats on, working. Every once in a while, he puts that hard hat on with the steel toe boots and hops out there to check on those guys in the 80, 85 degree heat. But, you know, that's about it. Shout out to Nando. What I will also say, no, I'm not smearing him. I'm not smearing him. I'm giving him credit. He worked hard to get that position. He worked hard to get it. It's a hardworking man. Madrimov faked an illness to duck Buhacic. I already knew he gamed to Ortiz, get Ortiz so smug this entire week. By the way, this is why I love the chat, because perfect segue. By the way, yeah. I remember being shocked by this, right? Because when they announced Madrimov to fight 2 fights after the Bud fight, they're like, he's gonna fight December against Buhachik, and then he's gonna fight this fight against Vergil. I was like, whoa, what? He's gonna do what? Crown this dude. Put him on a pound for pound list just based off of that. Crown this dude. But to Nano's point, pulls out of the fight, right? So it is what it is with that. I'm not mad at. He still fights Vergil, Bud and Vergil. I'm not mad at him. It's just an observation, right? And then another observation I had is, you know who's already in the gym out there? Posting himself in the gym already, working hard, is Floyd Schofield. Already in the gym. Already back, right? Already back. After you guys were posting your conspiracy theories last year about maybe he's not sick. He's already back in the gym. And then Daniel Dubois. So this is the thing. Once again, it's just an observation. Daniel Dubois gets sick, pulls out of the fight, and then what do we hear later that day is Usyk wants to fight Daniel Dubois next. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting development. So what happens? Joseph Parker fights Bicoli. Bicoli shows up over 300 pounds with jeans so tight that I can't believe the dude's breathing, and pulls up, weighs in same day, and then gets a meal and then goes in there and fights. It makes $4 million to do it, and is promised another fight behind that, right? But what's happening right now? Joseph Parker has won, I think it's like 7 fights in the past 25 months, something crazy like that I posted, right? And pulled off multiple upsets in that run. So Joseph Parker ends up fighting the fight. He doesn't get ill. He fights the fight and is on this great run in which he's pulled off multiple upsets and knocked off multiple guys in the division like Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang, who at one point when he was fighting him were seen as guys that you don't want to fight because those guys have a lot of power, right? Ends up beating both of them, beats Bicoli as well, who was seen by some people as a late replacement that would be dangerous because he's also a puncher, right? And coming off an upset victory for himself. So to me, Joseph Parker seems to be the guy that deserves the Usyk shot. He's on a great run, and nothing against Dubois. Great fight against Anthony Joshua, pulls off the upset. But all I'm saying is, who has the momentum right now? Who's coming off the victory? Who did not get sick? Who went through with the fight? And who has the momentum? Who should be getting the Usyk fight next? Who already had the shot? Dubois. Fellas, we have a problem, and this is where I want to see the Saudis behave above the other entities out there, right? We've had a problem in boxing that we've talked about for years where we have rematches and trilogies that we just shouldn't be having, right? And this may be one of those cases to where I'm not mad at Usyk versus Dubois, but if Usyk is saying he's only got 2 fights left in his career, right? I want to see him in there with people who probably should be in the front of the line. And Joseph Parker is the hottest fighter in the division, one of the hottest fighters in the sport. And I just feel like he deserves the shot over Dubois. It's just, but I don't want to do this. But and this isn't a shot at anybody. Please don't do that. This isn't a shot at anybody, but this is just a sentiment that I picked up when it comes to the Saudis that certain American content creators and journalists have when it comes to the Saudis, in which they don't seem to keep the same energy and consistency. And it's nothing personal. This is nothing personal. It's none of that, fellas. And Lord knows I can get like that with some of these dudes. I got dudes out there claiming that I'm on Rogaine and I'm a bald-headed dude. Look, fellas, Kevin Garnett head-looking ass boy, peanut head-looking ass boy, egg head ass looking ass boy. I can make fun of myself. I'm bald. Not on Rogaine, but these dudes take personal shots. I've been doxxed. Dudes making fun of my appearance, all kind of stuff. I don't go there. I don't hit back in that nature, right? So I got dudes taking shots at me, personal, all that stuff, right? I I don't do that stuff. So this is nothing personal against anybody. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is this sentiment right here is something I picked up from the American boxing fans, the American crowd when it comes to the Saudis, right? And we get away from the um get your bag culture when it comes to the Saudis. So let me just bring this up, and if y'all see it, y'all see it. I don't know. Let me try to bring it up a little bigger right here. Let's see if I got that. Let me see. Wait. Did I do this right? Let's see. Let's try to bring this up a little bit bigger. Anyway, do y'all see that? Let me see. I could be doing this wrong. I'm rusty, fellas. I'm rusty. So let me just read it to y'all in case y'all can't see it. And once again, none of this is personal. It's just a comment that I came across that somebody retweeted. UMF won't say it. That Bakoli situation was totally irresponsible. Y'all need to stop being a slave to Turkey's imagination. I don't know what that means. These fighters ain't toys. Career suicide for bragging rights. Bakoli was not supposed to be in the ring like that. It's not a game, and UMF in boxing is spreading y'all A cheeks for whatever reason. We want to witness great fights, but we also want those fighters to be well prepared to give them a chance to showcase their greatness. No promoter would have done that in their own show. But because of unlimited funds, you guys are being slaves. Good Lord. He knows nothing about building a career. Promoters and media and boxing personnel with access to Turkey's ears, y'all need to tighten up. So Turkey knows nothing about building a career. Unlike the other promoters and managers and power brokers that are brilliantly building careers out there. Brilliantly building careers. Brilliantly building careers. Let me ask a question in the chat. Chat answer. I see Mr. T, you're in there. Mr. T's taking a break from bountying people over there on Twitter. Nando's there. Andre Rodriguez, D-Styles in there. Have you ever met a $4 million slave? Allegedly, Bakoli gets paid $4 million, but let's pretend it's less than 4. Let's say it's $1 million. Have you ever met a slave that gets paid 7 figures for like a couple minutes of work? Ring, 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 ring. Hey, Martin, guess what? Daniel Dubois mysteriously just tested for an illness or got poisoned. So can you do something for me? Can you show up and just try to fight Joseph Parker for me? Hop on the jet. Just, you can weigh in the same day. Just get some lunch after and then hop in and try to fight. And when you do that, I'll pay you $4 million. And on top of that, I will guarantee you another fight date for doing this favor for me. Same thing with the gentleman that fought Shakur. And that guy had to make weight. Bakoli didn't have to make weight, bro. He just hopped on the plane. Fat as hell. With his tight ass jeans. This dude, did you see his jeans? Nando, did you see Bakoli's jeans on the airplane? He was happy as hell. Tightest jeans I've ever seen in my life. They were like glued to him, right? He's happy. Didn't have to make weight. Getting paid $4 million. Private jet. Pulls up in Saudi, weighs in, happy. Go gets a meal. Go gets a beautiful Saudi meal. And just strolls up. Takes a quick L, gets paid $4 million, keeps Joseph Parker busy, keeps Joseph Parker in the Usyk sweepstakes, and is promised another fight on the Saudi card to stay busy. And God forbid fighters stay busy. God forbid fighters actually stay ready to fight. This is how soft our culture is, fellas. It's the American culture that these guys need 10, 12 weeks to prepare. They need their nutritionist. They need their 12-member team to prepare them for the fight for 10 to 12 weeks, and they need to be ready to go. They need to be ready to go, or else we got to make a million excuses for them, right? And notice when it comes to the dude in the desert with the kitchen cloth on his head, there's energy switches up, right? And that's no offense, by the way. I'm just viewing things from their eyes. It's different over there. Those guys, that's slavery. Those guys keeping their fighters busy fighting every couple months, that's slavery. When it's over here and Tiafimo takes 2.6 million from Triller or whatever purse bid is, get your bag. Get your bag, homie. Let's get our bag, homie. Forget what's best for boxing. Let's get our bag. Let's get our bag, homie. Boo Boo Andre, the most duck fighter in the world. Get your bag. Get your bag. Let's get our bag. Let's get our bag. It's bag culture, bag culture, bag culture. We all need to get our bag. These fighters need to get our bag. You need to stop bad mouthing these fighters because that's what's bad for boxing. And you're what's bad for boxing. But when it comes to the Saudis and Turkey, and then fighters get paid $4 million or whatever it is, 1 million, 2 million, whatever it is, they paid this electrician, whatever they paid him, guaranteed him another payday pretty quick turnaround. And the dude was an electrician, right? And good for him. He's an electrician and a boxer at the same time, pulling off upsets, trying to climb his way up the ladder, right? And he's working hard. And Turkey tells him, look, man, if you keep Shakur busy for me, come over here, fight hard, keep Shakur busy for me, I'm giving you a house. And I'm going to make sure you're a full-time fighter going forward. You're no longer an electrician. You were an electrician before I called you. A minute ago, you were an electrician. Guess what? Retire. You're a boxer now. You're a boxer now, a full-time boxer. No longer do you have to work 2 jobs to support your family. I'm giving you a house. You're going to come over here, keep Shakur busy for me, and I'll promise you paydays after that for doing me this favor. That's how pro-fighter I am. Now we got to be anti-fighter for the sustainability of the sport. These dudes can't keep the same energy. They're constantly chasing their tails. They do not want the sport. Make no mistake about it, fellas. When it comes to the American journalists, they don't want the sport headed east. And it's not because of, look, there's virtue signaling going on. It's not for anything virtuous. What it's for is they don't want to have to fly over there to cover the sport. They don't have the money. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm telling you what it is. That's all it is. They don't have the money to cover the sport. It's not the old days when Sports Illustrated flew you over there on your dime, wherever you wanted to go to cover the fight, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo Sports, whoever, right? ESPN. You got to cover the fight on your own dime now. They don't have the money. And that's why they're up in arms. That's why they're up in arms about it. It's not that virtuous. Slavery? Slaves. Think about how, fellas, like, think about how demeaning that is to actual slaves out there. They got dudes like building Nike, out in China, building Nike shoes, right? And get paid like a penny a day. Actual slaves still in the world right now. And here comes Martin McCauley hopping on a private plane with his super duper tight skinny jeans glued to his legs and his balls suffocating, right? And he hops on a plane and makes $4 million for a couple minutes of work. Gets a meal before, gets a meal after, and he hops right back on the plane. And Turkey's like, peace out. See you in a couple months, bro. I'm going to keep you busy. Get ready. Be ready. We'll keep you busy. See you next time. Thanks for keeping Joey P. busy for me. Good job. Great job. Served his purpose. We kept them busy, kept Joseph Parker on the card. And that's what happened. And think about the dude in the sweatshop saying, I wish I was a slave like that. Where do I sign up for that type of slavery? I've been over here doing this. Where do I get that type of slavery? I want that type of slavery. It's because these guys worship idea of never losing. They think one loss is the end. So any risk is bad business, weak sauce. It just wants fight. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's these dudes will rail against the old culture, the zero culture. The zero culture, a loss just kills us. It kills us. It kills us. And they can't even fathom that somebody would make this transaction, that a fighter would say, man, whatever, 4 million. Yeah. Whatever you want. Yeah, I'll fight. And it's how soft our culture is. These dudes think you need 10, 12 weeks. Fighters stay busy. Fighters stay ready. This is why we can't compare fighters from this generation from fighters in previous generations. It's why when we talk to managers who will be honest with you, right? And they'll say, when we do these generational talks, fellas, like, I always pick the fighter from the previous generation. They were just tougher. They did things, they made sacrifices that these fighters and fans of today would not even fathom making. What is this soft stuff? What is this? And he'll be right back in May. That's what I'm saying. Junto, back in June. Vergil, he wants to get right back. These dudes want to get back in the ring because they see what the Saudis are doing and see what they're doing in Japan. And it's a different culture than the American culture. These dudes want these dudes packaged so fragilely, right? And it's why when I bring up Benavidez's name, and maybe he should fight Callum Smith if he doesn't get the fight next and they have the trilogy. Oh my God, you just want to see Benavidez lose. No, dude, I think Benavidez runs through Callum Smith. It's a good fight. You just want to see him lose. If you want to see him fight Morrell Jr., you just want to see him lose. Good Lord, man. This is the American culture. This is why I enjoy and I will watch up. I will gladly wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, 5:30 in the morning to watch a Japanese fight. I'd rather watch them fight. It resembles a sport. This card on Saturday was a thing of beauty. It was a thing of beauty. Dudes lose, they take the L, and then they bounce back. How many heavyweights have lost? Zhilei Zhang just lost. He's going to be back. Deontay Wilder loses. He's back a couple months later. These dudes lose a fight, and it's not the end of the world. You dudes claim that this is what you want. You claim you want good fights. You claim you want the old culture going. You claim that you want, if a dude loses a fight, he can be right back. Madrimov loses a fight. What's the American boxing media do? Exposed. He's so exposed. Oh my God, Madrimov lost the fight. Oh my God, I can't believe he lost the fight. What a bum. Oh my God. This is why I can't stand American boxing. And this is why when you look at a pound for pound list, if it's a good pound for pound list, there's only like 2 guys there from America. This is why I log on to YouTube and I see these American boxing content creators and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these dudes? Why are they speaking like this? He's going to get his bag. He's going to get his bag. Oh, well, but Coley's going to get his bag. How about that? How about that? Since he's going to get his bag in Saudi, now you have a problem. Mr. T $5 super chat. When's the last time last of the mediocre Mohicans gets beat the scrotum huggers will exit the sport? The age of the Kool-Aid hearted fanboys is almost over. And if this boxing league happens, and man, look, I hope the boxing league happens. I hope it happens. And we get fights. You dudes had your opportunity. Y'all had your opportunities. I gave you plenty of time. I gave you dudes plenty of time. We were very patient with you. We've been around these parts off and on for 15 years. We've been around these parts off and on for 15 years. We've seen you guys coming around. And I gave you plenty of time to switch up your energy. How many times do we hear these dudes say, get your bag? You have a problem with that guy getting his bag? Oh, you're terrible for the sport. You're terrible for the fighters. Oh my God, you're so anti-fighter. Now they don't want dudes to get their bag. I wonder what happened. How many times did Calix Boxing and Calix Boxing 2 and Calix Boxing 2.0, Calix Sports, wherever I was, right? How many times did I say that fight doesn't belong there? Why in the hell is Boots Ennis fighting there? Why is Stephen Fulton Jr. fighting? Oh, you just hate the PBC. And I know why. You got tiki torches sitting over there right in your closet. Where's the white hood? I know you cut up your sheets. I know it. You're Honduran, but somehow you're still part of the clan, and that's why you're going after the PBC fighters. I know it. I know it. I know it. I can see right through you. I know why you're talking like that. I know that energy. I'm just saying, why can't the dude fight in Philadelphia? That's all I'm saying. That's all I was saying. What are you reading into this? All I'm saying is, why is the UK dude fighting the Australian dude in beautiful Oklahoma? And I love Oklahoma. Don't get me wrong. I know some of you are from Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma women. I love Oklahoma food. You guys do beautiful things in Oklahoma. I don't think like D-Style. D-Style thinks they're Texas's little brother, and he looks down on Oklahoma. I don't. But why is that fight there? And now, all of a sudden, I log on. For years, I said, why is this guy fighting once every 15 months? Why is that happening? I know why you're saying that. It's because you're Hitler. It's like, what? Excuse me? No, you may have misunderstood me. I was just saying this guy should probably fight once more than once every 15 months. You're David Duke. Yeah, it's because you're David Duke. It's like, what? Now, all of a sudden, I log on to Twitter and I see all these articles about fighters need to fight more. What happened? And now all I see these articles about how fights don't belong in Saudi Arabia because you can't build fighters there. Turkey can't build fighters. Okay, so what about the other promoters that can't build fighters? You waited this long to send tweets like that? Why can't these other promoters build fighters? Yeah, you can't build them because it's in Saudi Arabia and 6,000 people there. That's fine, but what about these other places? These dudes are fighting at Caribe Royale. They got a Cuban headlining in Minnesota. These dudes are finally jumping on board, but it's too late. We gave you time. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. You missed out. It's way too late. Bivol Beterbiev, fellas. What a thing of beauty it was. And what I left thinking was, these are clearly two of the best fighters in the world. And that's amazing for me, for Beterbiev, 40 years old, to be one of the best fighters in the world still. And look, there's a dirty rumor going on that I switched up on Bivol late after saying I will never pick against Bivol again. Never after the Canelo fight. Never. Bivol's the most versatile fighter in the sport. Never again will I pick against him. I will not do it. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Never, ever do it. And there's a dirty rumor going around that last second I switched up and picked Beterbiev. Don't believe that rumor. Don't believe it. Don't believe it for one hot second. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Thanks for the super chat, Mr. T. But in all seriousness, I did. And I woke up. I was just ashamed of myself. Good Lord, how could I do that? How could I switch up on Bivol last minute and pick against him? And what a performance it was for him. And there are people who think Beterbiev won the fight. And look, man, I got to be honest. If you think that way, that's fine to me, because I came away thinking the same thing I thought after watching 24 rounds of Canelo and Golovkin. Like, these are two special fighters, and they're every bit each other's equal. Every bit each other's equal. I think you could have, I mean, were there in this whole series so far, were there maybe a handful of rounds that were definitively one guy's or the other? Maybe a handful. Maybe a handful. So you're talking, fellas, 17, 18, 19, 20 rounds where it just depends. Like, you look at the scoring criteria, man, it could go either way. Beterbiev's landing flusher shots, I get it, and he's landing big shots. But Bivol, he stood his ground more this fight, and this was my big wild card going into the fight. Was I said Bivol is the most versatile fighter in the sport, best defensive fighter in the sport. And to me, that's the guy who can make adjustments going from one fight to the next. And I trust him to be able to execute those adjustments, but does he have the temperament to do it? And it's been my frustration with Bivol throughout 95% of his career is, when is this guy going to step in the fifth gear? Even in the Canelo fight, it still felt like he was in fourth gear, right? And then you watch other fights, second, third gear, and like, man, good Lord, I know this guy's great. I know he's special, but pound for pound's about performances and career legendary legacy. It's about performances too, and how you make people feel. And can this dude like wake me up a little bit? And then I'm watching this fight and I'm saying, it was my big wild card is, does he have the temperament to execute that plan? Stay in the pocket more, trade more, stand on that front foot more. He stands in that runner stance, right? He keeps that back foot towards his opponent instead of in the L position. And he does that to hold his position and not take any back steps and fight off his front foot and use his leverage, get underneath fighters. And he did it. Turns out he did have the temperament to step to Beterbiev. Fellas, I thought he was in trouble in that fourth round. I tweeted, I said, he's in deep water. Beterbiev was, and Bivol was styling early. He was in his rhythm. He's a rhythm fighter. He was in his rhythm. I was like, okay, this is the Bivol I expected in the rematch. But what happens when Beterbiev, because Beterbiev is a special fighter as well. What happens when he ratchets it up? What happens? He does. And I'm saying Bivol's in hot water. And there was part of me that's saying this could be a stoppage. This could be a late stoppage for Beterbiev. And the odds makers saw it the same way, because what happened? Middle of the fight, round 5, round 6, it went to minus 650 live betting odds for Beterbiev. Big favorite. It went from toss up to minus 650. But what happens after that? Bivol starts to claw his way back into the fight. The second half was his. Bivol was styling in the second half of the fight. Got back in his rhythm. Beterbiev still landing those flush shots, which still makes it difficult to score these rounds, right? Because Beterbiev's still doing good work himself. It just felt like out of two special fighters, Bivol was a little more special on this night. And still, 24 rounds overall, I still think that they haven't separated themselves from each other. They're still every bit each other's equal, but I felt in this fight, in the second half of that fight, there was slight separation there from Bivol to where he got back in his rhythm and just fought a masterful performance against Beterbiev in that he was throwing combination punches, standing his ground in spots, clinching when he had to chop things up. The chin held up. And fellas, this guy had 100% KO percentage before, and he's knocking out durable fighters. And he's an avoided fighter. And he's one of the best fighters in the world. And he's pound for pound, maybe the biggest puncher in the world. And Bivol's taking his shots. I saw him sitting back with his mouth open after round 4 like this. Bivol, that is. And I'm saying, I think this might be a stoppage. And then he finds that other gear. He goes from gear 3 to gear 4. And then 7, 8, 9, he goes gear 5. I'm like, that's the Bivol I've been waiting for. The special fighter showed up. The dog showed up. And you saw it in him after the fight. It was one of the most baffling things to me after the Canelo fight when you observed Bivol. And he was stoic. And he's like, yeah, look, I expected to win this fight, but this isn't the one I want. And I'm like, man, any other fighter beats Canelo. Edgar Berlanga's out there after the fight, going the distance and losing every round to Canelo and throwing celebration parties in Puerto Rico. He's throwing a parade. There's nobody even in the crowd. And he's filming himself throwing a parade for himself. There's nobody in the crowd. They're like pan out and there's like nobody there. Like his grandma's out there. And He's throwing a parade for himself because he went the distance with Canelo. You see these dudes, they go the distance with Canelo and they just have these parties, right? And Bivol beats him and arguably wins 9-10 rounds. And he was stalking. He's like, that's not the one I want. I want to be undisputed. And you saw it after this fight. You saw the difference. He looked happy and he looked relieved. It was a look of relief, and I've done it. I'm here now. You can't take it away from me now. And it's going to be reflected in pound for pound lists. For years, I've been saying, man, like 4 through 6, somewhere around there, 7, but he just won't show that specialness in a big moment. And then he did it. He did it. Legacy fight. Legacy fighters show up. Both of these guys did. Both of these guys are legacy fighters. They both showed up. Bivol in this moment was a little more special. And that's why it's going to be reflected in my pound for pound list. He's number 3 to me right now. And I see D-Style has him number 1. Fair enough. He's now in that conversation to me based off of this. Because wins against Canelo, Zordo, and Beterbiev in that period of time, fellas, he's in the conversation. Zordo is now up there at cruiserweight, so we talk about pound for pound, right? He's styled on Zordo. And Zordo's up there fighting for championships in a weight class higher. That's pound for pound. Zordo's bigger than him, and he's a good fighter. And Bivol beat him without breaking a sweat. Bivol was in second, third gear the whole fight. Bivol beats another pound for pound level fighter, a guy who's an undisputed champion or about to be again in Canelo. Does it in impressive fashion. And now he beats Beterbiev, his big nemesis. He's in the conversation now. When we talk about the conversation for pound king, to me right now, I still have Inoue 1, Usyk 2, and Bivol's now number 3. To me, those are the 3 guys that have separated themselves at this moment in time. And I already hear people saying, what about Bud? What about Bud? And I already know that people are going to call me a Bud hater, even though I've been his biggest fan for 12, 13 years. Fellas, look. At a certain point in time, you guys have to stop holding up rankings, divisional and pound for pound rankings. And it has to reflect, like, or it doesn't, because it's subjective, right? Do whatever you want with your list. But what I'm saying is don't get on people who aren't going to hold up rankings for fighters who are part-time fighters at this point in their career. To me, activity matters. To me, I will stay consistent in that. And a way in staying consistent with that is docking fighters who just are chronically inactive. And Bud's on a schedule now to where he's once every 13, 14 months. He's telling you again, I'm going to fight once this year. And fellas, he's fought once per year since the first Trump administration. This is going to be his 7th straight calendar year fighting once in a year. And I would argue that I'm so high on Bud that he's still in my top 4, even with that. I don't think there's another fighter in the world that I would look at and say, this guy's fought once per year for 7 straight calendar years, and I would still have him in my top 5, maybe even top 10 pound for pound list. But Bud's such a special fighter to me, and still putting on good performances to great performances when he does fight, that he's still at least in the top 5. I have him number 4 still. And it's still taking everything in me to keep him there above guys like Bam and Junto the more they put on performances like this. And even Beterbiev, I could still make an argument that he's number 4. What if that decision does go his way? And he's 24 rounds with this guy, and he's what with him? With a guy who's number 3 pound for pound. So really, I can make an argument for Beterbiev number 4. I may have to think about this a little more. But for the people who are going to call me a Bud hater and make these accusations, I'm just telling you, like, I'm being pretty kind and generous. This is how highly I think of this guy, that he can fight once per year, be a part-time fighter for 6, 7 straight calendar years, fight once every 13, 14 months, while these other guys are fighting way more active and still stay up there. I'm still holding a ranking for him. even though I'm against holding rankings for fighters without doing much. But these are all special fighters. Everybody that I have on the pound for pound list, because I only have 8 fighters there. The 9 and 10, I'm just going to keep vacant. And I already know people are going to be like D-Style. D-Style was like, you can't have a 1A and 1B. What are you doing? You can't have a 1A and 1B. You can't do that. You can't do that. And they're going to say, you can't have vacant number 9 and number 10. You can't do that. You can't do it. Watch me. Everybody on my pound for pound list, I would argue, is a special fighter at this point in time. I would argue nobody else is good enough or great enough to be number 9 or 10 on that list. But if you look at Inoue, Usyk, Bivol, Bud, Beterbiev, Bam, Junto, Canelo, all special fighters. All special. And it speaks to how special Bud is that despite being outpaced in activity by far by these fighters, he's still there. He's still smack dab in the middle of that list. Because you could argue that he needs to be lower. You can make that argument. But one thing I don't think you can argue at this point, if you're using rankings the way that other sports use rankings and the way that I think rankings should be used, you take everything into consideration, that I don't think you have a case for Bud being pound for pound anymore. I just don't think he's done enough. He's not. He's literally not performing enough. Inoue just fought. Inoue fought 3 times last year. Just fought, and he's going to fight again. When's he fight? April or June? Whenever he's fighting, right? Junto just fought, and he's already going to announce a fight in June. These guys are moving, fellas, like they're moving. Bivol and Beterbiev just fought each other, and they just had a rematch. 2 top 5 pound for pound fighters fighting each other twice in the same span. Bud fought Madrimov. And if Bud beats Canelo, right, if he dares to be great and he does beat Canelo in September, then we have a conversation. Then we have another conversation, right? But as of right now, we don't. As of right now, we don't. So that's my list as of right now. I'll post it on X later, and people will lose their minds, as they always do. They always seem to do when somebody drops a pound for pound list. And they'll accuse me of all kind of things, right? And somehow I'll be accused of being racist for whatever reason, as I always do. And I'll be accused of being on Rogaine and Kevin Garnett head looking ass boy, and peanut head, egg head ass looking ass boy, and crack head ass looking ass boy, right? Whatever. Some of us have to have thick skin enough to say what needs to be said. And what I'll say is, watching Junto this morning, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, damn. Watching Junto and Inoue, the thing about them is they have a little Mexican-American boxer in them. And I can tell where Junto trains. And Inoue may not train in Southern California, but he has that same type of style. They want to take your head off. They have bad intentions. Cut from the same cloth as Bud, really. These guys don't. I've talked about it, right? I talked about Bud having this. They're the type of dudes that will show up at the club, wear the all-white G-Nikes, go to the most heavily trafficked hallway in the club, and stick their foot out and just hope and pray and wait for a confrontation. Please, 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 God, please, somebody step on my shoes. Please, please, somebody step on my shoes. They want confrontation. They want it. And I'm watching Junto fight this morning, and I see Rudy, because I'm watching it on my phone, and so I got to keep the sound off. It didn't have the iPods ready, and so I'm watching on silent. But I see Rudy like calm down between rounds 1 and 2. I'm seeing him calm down, because Junto went in there with bad intentions and wanted to take Quiller's head off. He wanted this done. He's chomping at the bit. I want this guy out of here. It's a good fighter. It's a top 10 fighter. They don't know the names, right? They're still going to say, who's he fought? Who's he fought? I don't know who he fought. Who are these guys fighting down there? Right? And they'll do that thing. But these are good fighters. He's just mowing down. And he's doing it with bad intentions. And he's turning on every punch. He's sitting on every punch. And he can box. He can stay back there in the American style, right? And jab and jab and jab and keep him on your end of the punch and clinch, but he doesn't want to do it. He wants to take your head off. He wants to sit on every punch and he wants to knock your head off. And then he lands these punches in the third round towards the end. And at times it did look sloppy. At times Junto was missing by about a foot, right? It's like, man, you do need to calm down. You need to listen to your trainer a little bit. You need to calm down. You're winning these rounds, but you know, you're looking a little sloppy, and that could make you pay in other fights, right? It can make you pay in this fight. But what's he do? He lands a body shot, and Quiller does that. Ugh. Then he lands upstairs, and then he lands back downstairs, lands upstairs. It's over. That quick. Over. Reminiscent of Inoue against Fulton Jr. When these guys have you hurt, it's done. It's done. It's over. There's no recovering when these guys hurt you. It's done. Nighty-night. It's done. Junto special. And you might want to get ahead of this because I see people out there still with Junto outside of their top 10 pound for pound. Like, good Lord, what are these dudes boxing fans? They can't be. They can't be. There's no way they're waking up at 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. You dudes have no excuse, by the way. Dudes in the UK watch our fights at like 4 in the morning. You dudes on the East Coast can't wake up at 6:30 in the morning. And the replay is out there. Just go and watch the replay a couple hours later. Dudes don't do it. They just want to badmouth Japanese fighters. They want to badmouth anybody, any fighter from or promoter, power broker from that side of the ocean. They don't want anything to do with who's he fought. Dudes mowing down good competition and staying active and putting on great performances to where you say, that's a pound for pound fighter. That's a special fighter. He's that dude. And I'm telling you this right now. Collision courses are there. You got to do that 115, who's special. You got to do that 118, who's special. And you got to do that 122, who's special. In other weight classes, we would give these dudes a little bit of slack, right? And say weight class business, and you know they'll handle their business. And once again, this is the not keeping the same energy part. This is the not keeping the same energy segment of the show. Is if these are American fighters, we need to marinate these fights. This guy needs to fight this guy. Fight one more time in 2025. You know, take it easy because we can't run these fights. We can't run them. We need to take it a little bit easy, right? But we need to build them. So we need to marinate these fights a little bit and handle these guys like fragile UPS packages. And, you know, we need to be a little bit safe here, a little bit safe. So, yeah, let's build it for about 4 to 7 years, but take easy fights in the meantime, right? That's what they'd be saying about these guys if these were American fighters, say 147, 154, 160. That's what they'd be saying. But since it's Mexican-American midget at 115 and 2 Japanese fighters at 118, 122, there's nobody down there anyway. So they need to fight each other now or they're bums. They're all ducking each other somehow. And Drew's out there telling me that Bam's ducking Junto, right? And I know why Drew's doing this, because Drew's trying to play that California divisive tactic game to where he sees that I like Bam, Junto, and Inoue. Those are actually my 3 favorite fighters in the whole sport. So I need to get Calix to hate one of them. That's what Drew's out there saying. And by the way, Mr. T, Mr. Yellow out there, if you're still in the chat, bounty him. Bounty him for doing these tactics. And I shouldn't need a panel of 5. Bounty him over on X right now. Do it right now. Bounty him $1 trillion. Bounty him $1 trillion for trying to play these tactics. He's trying to play that divide and conquer game. I'm going to get Calix to hate Junto. I'm going to get him to hate Junto. Watch this. Bam's ducking Junto. He's an agent of chaos. This is exactly who he is. He's an agent of chaos. Right? So I'm not playing your chess games. I'm flipping the chessboard off. I'm not playing your games. I'm going to like all of them. Going to like all of them. And you have to take your pick, man, because Bam's not ducking Junto, right? Because you could say Junto's ducking Bam based off of this morning. Why? Because Bam doesn't have a fight, right? Nothing scheduled. So Junto could have took the mic and said, hey, Bam, you got nothing scheduled? Let's fight. Let's do it. Let's fight. Forget the unification at 118. Let's fight. And I want to say this too. I said that Undisputed is watered down. Yes, I said it. It's watered down. And how do I know this? Because you dudes can't even define Undisputed anymore. How do I know that? Because you dudes were claiming Teofimo was undisputed at 140 and he had 1 belt. So what is even undisputed at this point? The politics of it wear down. You dudes are claiming Teofimo's undisputed at 140 and he had 1 belt, but not undisputed at 135 because Devin got emailed the belt and then fought Cambosos. Whatever, right? I don't even care at this point. All I'm saying is it involves nuance. Sometimes unifications matter. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'd rather see Canelo versus Benavidez instead of Canelo versus William Skull for the final belt. In that case, Undisputed is watered down. In the case of Canelo going for an undisputed run in 2021 and Benavidez not fighting a fight at that point and Benavidez losing the belt twice and Benavidez holding nothing of value at that time, I say Undisputed matters. Nuance. Hello. Nuance. Duh. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But what I do know is it's watered down at this point. That's what I do know. You dudes, along with the sanctioning bodies, watered it down with this nonsense. And I understand the sanctioning bodies started with this because with the politics, good Lord, with the terrible rankings and with the stripping fighters here and not stripping them here, it leads to, I don't know what to do with this. Sometimes the undisputed thing makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. So that makes it watered down. Politics. And then in some cases, you fans do it because you say, this guy's only got 1 belt. But he's the guy, so I'm going to make him undisputed. No, wait. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Yeah, but he's the guy. He's the guy who beat the guy. That's called lineal. You're trying to make the lineal guy the undisputed guy. If you want to do that, that's fine. Just please, can somebody tell me the rules so I can use them? Somebody tell me the rules and let's stay consistent with it and go forward. I'm just trying to play by you dudes' rules so we can stay consistent. So anyway, here's where I'm at with it. I want to see these dudes active. Whatever gets them active, that's fine with me. I want to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and watch JUNTO Nakatani fight. So if it gets him back in June to fight the unification, there's 4 Japanese champions. Let's have it. Let's have it until something shakes, right? Whatever. Here's what I want at the top of the list, the order of operations. This is how I would like to see it play out. I would like for us to just go to Bam versus JUNTO now. I'm not the one of those dudes that said, we need to make it bigger by marinating the fight. No, just do it. I'm fine with that. Let's do it. Just so I can make this clear, because there's rumors abound, as Rick Glazer says. Rumors abound. Rumors abound that I want to keep Bam protected. Okay. Here's what I like to see. Inoue is the pound-for-pound king in my book. But out of these 3 fighters, he's the top ranked and he's the biggest draw. Made $43 million last year. 43. Makes $8 million in endorsements. Makes over $10 million per fight. Can sell out a dome. And can have the Saudis throw a bunch of money at him to fight in America. And Saudi, this dude's going to be fighting in multiple countries and be a draw and sell out. So he's the guy. So here's what has to happen. Bam and JUNTO, you're going to have to fight each other to get to Inoue. So here's what I like to see. I want to see Bam versus JUNTO next. Do it at whatever weight. Do it at 116.5. I don't care. Do it wherever you want to do it, and do it in whatever country you want to do it. To me, it makes most sense in Japan. But whatever, just get the fight done. Right? And I'd like to see that. And then the winner of that gets the king in a way and has to go up to 122 to do it. That's what I'd like to see happen. Until that happens, give me the unification and keeping these guys busy. Until that happens, give me Bam and a unification in May, June. Give me Junto and a unification at 118. But you said Undisputed watered down. Whatever, dude, whatever. Just give me the fight. In this case, the best fighters in the weight class have belts. So in this case, a unification matters. Do I have to really go point by point and explain this stuff to you guys? Is boxing Twitter really this slow? In this case, the best fighters have the belts, so just fight each other. Do I have to explain this? Do I have to explain that if Bam versus Junto is made tomorrow and they fight in June and they announce it, that I would be the one to jump the highest and do cartwheels and backflips? And I would probably purchase a ticket wherever the fight happened. I don't even like to travel. I don't like leaving my plot of land. I don't. But I'll gladly do it for that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Dudes, y'all get me worked up. But Junto special, Bam and Bivol and Beterbiev are special, and Joseph Parker continues to go on a great run. And on top of that, Vergil. I learned a lot about Vergil in this fight. Vergil now is healthy at 154, can make the weight, is fighting like the guy we thought was there with this guy. We thought this guy could be a talented fighter and entertaining at the same time and put on great performances and win fights like this where he has to dig deep against number 2 guy in the weight class, the guy who took Bud life and death, and he goes out and he digs and he wins it. These are the fights that I like. And you dudes are out here. I see dudes out here just like complaining, like there wasn't as good of a fight as I thought. We learned a lot about Vergil, 2 high-class fighters. I still want to see, although I don't like his style, I still want to see Madrimov in fights because I do think he's a good fighter. And he is staying active. He's fighting the fights, fellas. Like, he just fought Bud and Vergil. And now he's exposed because he lost one of them. You can't win. You can't win with these dudes. So, and for the love of God, man, what dude would turn down $4 million and a fight after a couple months after that, another big payday, life-changing money? What electrician would turn down life-changing money and a house to go out there and keep another fighter busy? And look, they're still trying to win the fights, but they're playing their role, right? And they're getting their money, getting their bag. What kind of fighter would turn down that type of money? What kind of media member would say you need to turn down that money or you're a slave? What the hell? What is that? Like I said, man, dudes are out there working in sweatshops right now, real slaves, not making anything, making a penny to make some LeBrons. So some snob-nosed kid from the suburbs can buy the shoe for $250, $250,000 markup because some slaves are out there. Some real slaves are out there making shoes and sweatshirts. And then you got some dude with skinny jeans hopping on a private jet for a couple minutes of work being called a slave for making $4 million for 5 minutes of work. And this dude is in a sweatshop thinking, why did I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Why wasn't I born a 300-pound dude who can throw some punches, wear some skinny jeans that's strangling my scrotum sack, hop on a private jet, get some good meals, get put up in a 5-star hotel for a couple of days, and then roll back out to my family, go buy a mansion in the Congo? Why didn't I think of that? Dudes are weirdos. True weirdos. On that note, man, I always appreciate hanging out with y'all. I got to roll. Peace. God bless.